back. Season 2. Reloaded.
Got a nice little something.
We back, baby. My name is Tariq Rashad. I'm here with Switch It Up John.
And I'm Married Man Rob now.
Married Man Rob. Congratulations to the Married Man
Brody.
Rob. Just tied the knot earlier this week.
Facts.
Yeah.
And it's 3 the Hard Way. We are back. Season 2 reloaded. We got a lot of stuff on the agenda today. We are back with not just us, but also with the internet. I mean, not with the internet, with the NBA.
We back with the NBA.
We're back with the NBA. The NBA is also back. Took a big pause in the middle of the year. Coronavirus in a sense destroyed sports
Yeah.
for a while.
Shut it down.
We held it down though, for the most part. We was here with y'all, giving y'all top 50s and
Sure.
all letting you know that nobody's coming back. That's what we ended season 1 on. There will be no sports. But then the NBA, July 31st, starting a new season, and it's good to go, man. What are you guys excited about when it comes to this bubble in Orlando, no fans NBA?
Oh man, it's for me. I looked at it and it brought me back to AAU days, right? That's how it's gonna remind me of, where you're in the gym, you know what I mean? You get to see teams play in front of you, right? Like you're not watching tape, like you're literally going to the court to watch the film. You know what I'm saying? And also the practice facilities and stuff like that. I don't know how much access that they have to it, but I know that it's close enough where if you're on one court, you know what I mean, and another team is on another court, you kind of see what they're saying. So it's gonna be like spy games a little bit.
Oh, are we doing our first cross sports reference already?
Yeah.
You saying somebody going Bill Belichick it?
I don't put it past me.
Somebody go ahead, New England
I
Patriots
don't put it past anybody. So that adds on to the level of, you know, competitiveness and sportsmanship, gamesmanship. That adds on to that. Yeah, man. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see the players who usually was thinking up in front of crowds, like they don't have that crowd factor, the nerves and stuff like that. See if they play well. Maybe they play well now. You know what I mean? You see the players that you be like, "Why is he in the NBA?" You be like, "Oh, okay, I see why now." You just can't play in front of crowds. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that might be the case. I'm interested to see the players who have relocated. Like I'm glad Jamal Crawford's back. I want to see him play.
Yeah.
I want to see J.R. Swish play. I want to see Dion Waiters play. Tyler Johnson. And like I think that's dope. And I think that, you know, the coronavirus is a gift and a curse to some of these players who've been out the league for about, you know, 7, 8, 12 months. You know what I mean? And I could still hoop. And on the other side, we're also going to see who's been working, who hasn't. Like that fatigue factor is going to come into play. The skill work is going to show. You're going to see who's been working, who's not, and who's really going to be the person on top. And I think the most, for me, you're going to see who's really the competitors and who's here just for the fame. You know what I mean? Because this is not for the crowd. Like, you're not playing now to do a slammed up ahead. Oh, everybody go crazy. Like, you literally here to win. Like, that's what you're here for. You know? So, that's what I'm most interested in seeing. It's really like the matchups and, you know, even like Portland having their players come back, a full Portland squad where people have been down for the whole season, right? All these players coming back from injury and how that's going to impact it. Yeah, man. So it's real interesting. It's going to be an interesting NBA season, and it's going to be a really interesting playoffs too.
Yeah, and to segue or to ducktail off of that one, that's what I'm most excited about, is to see some type of closure for the NBA season. This year is a big one for a lot of people's legacies. Got a lot of people who, if they win a championship there, they really make their name in NBA history as one of the greatest players of all time. Well, you got LeBron, you got Giannis trying to make his mark, Kawhi trying to do 3 championships in 3 cities, something we never seen. LeBron also trying to do that. Harden trying to make his mark. You know, you got Miami over there, Jason Tatum. Like, if whoever wins this championship, it's going to be really a great story, and I'm super excited for that. No LA bias here, but I do have the Lakers win the championship. So put that out there.
We're going to put that out there early.
Season 2, episode 1.
I'm actually excited to see something that John kind of mentioned on, but the other way around. These guys that I watched a game not too long ago, and Kyle O'Quinn.
Kyle O'Quinn.
I'm gonna talk about two players right now. Two players that you were not expecting me to talk about. I'm talking about Kyle O'Quinn and JJ Barea. Kyle O'Quinn for the Philadelphia 76ers and JJ Barea. I believe that Kyle O'Quinn is an energy guy. That's fair to say, right?
Fair.
Pretty much an energy guy.
Nah, he's more of an enforcer, bro.
And you don't think enforcers come with that pump up the crowd energy? Yeah.
For bad long.
And he was only good with the Knicks, to me, because of the energy that the Knicks would give him.
He was only good with the Knicks because he was trash. That's why he was good with the Knicks.
And if you do something,
you need something to cheer for. Somebody making a hustle play.
Somebody getting a putback dunk.
Hitting the clutch mid-range jump shot off.
No, he's not a
mid-range guy.
He's not a star. I'm not talking about.
I understand
this is what I'm getting at.
I'm not saying that he's a star. I'm saying that from what I watched, he wasn't an energy guy. He was more of a set screens kind of do the dirty work kind of guy.
Right.
Not a person that's going to dive on the fly. I never really see him dive on the fly.
Would you consider him a fan favorite?
He was a hometown favorite because he's from New York.
Exactly.
And I think when you look at guys like that, like Kyle O'Quinn, now I watched Kyle O'Quinn miss 2 layups yesterday. 2 point-blank layups. And I don't think he would have missed if the crowd was in the game and people was cheering him. There's certain things you just don't want to do in front of 40,000 people. And then I also watched on the other end, JJ Barea, who's just a baller. This guy comes from Puerto Rico, ball in front of nobody, ball on the world stage, back up for the Mavs for 10, 12 years. And down the stretch, he was carrying the game. He was doing things that the crowd would go crazy for in Dallas.
Yeah.
There was no crowd. However, he kept doing it. Me and Christian, we called out every play that JJ Barea did the last 4 plays. And I'm thinking those type of energy guys, those type of crowd and fan favorites, some of them are going to lose a step because they don't have that crowd behind them. And some of them are going to keep balling because, like you said, they're ballers. There's ballers in the league that just going to ball regardless. I watched Devin Booker dunk on Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
That's something that people would have got up and went crazy for. But if you listen to the game, with the left, too.
With the left.
It was nasty.
But when you listen to the game, it was like, that's cool. That was just 2 points. It feels like 2 points is just 2 points. And there's guys in the league that thrive off of that crowd engagement. You look at all the LeBron and D-Wade going into the crowd, this is my house, and all of that stuff, Curry. It's not going to mean as much anymore. So I'm really curious as to how the role, more than the stars, but the role players, because that's where the games are won and lost, if you ask me. Those guys that, get 8 points this game and 13 points that game and 7 rebounds and 2 blocks. And I'm curious as to how they respond to there being no crowd.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel the opposite only because I know that these guys play basketball outside of the NBA season. They play all in the same circles. And I know that they get opportunities to ball with each other and go at each other neck for neck. And I think sometimes when you put the crowd into the factor, they get a little nervous when they play against the crowd. That's the
other part to it. What about the guys that they don't? What about the? You said it earlier though. What about the guys that will hit 20 shots in an open gym by themselves, right. And as soon as you add 20 people that they don't know, 25 strangers, boom, boo, right. Trash, and they miss 19 of those shots.
Right.
They don't have to deal with that anymore.
That's what I'm saying. This opens up a different level.
Right.
You know what I mean? To the game where it's like, I don't have to deal with those things. And that's a part of being a professional. But it makes the game easier for them because you kind of got your blinders on. You don't have the crowd. I mean,
for certain pros, I ain't going to say all pros are strictly love the game, basketball, everything. They got their blinders on. There are pros who play for the crowd.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that definitely
I was talking about the specific group of people that Ty was talking about. Those guys who missed those shots and not playing for the crowd like a JJ Barea. JJ Barea is not playing for the crowd. JJ Barea is playing for the love of the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's some players that play for the love of the game. So
right.
I think those are going to be the players that are going to thrive the most.
I can agree with that. I think another thing I'm interested to see is how people react to having no true home court advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's
None.
There's no home court advantage. Maybe the color change of the logo, but
and let's not act like home court advantage is not extremely important when it comes to playoffs. I mean, they talk about it all the time. We stole one from them, as if they expect
you stole one at the crib.
One from them.
You gotta steal one at their house
to lose on the road, or because it's just a different atmosphere. Even refereeing, it's gonna be interesting.
It is.
Because
I think that's like for a fan, if they do mic'd up, it's gonna be so lit.
Oh man,
because you get to hear everything. We'll hear Melo. Got it, give me that.
Yeah,
got it.
Mellow.
You hear that when the fans is there.
Like you gonna hear all the trash talking. You gonna hear all the, you know what I mean. And I think that's gonna be motivation too when you look at it and you watching the film and you seeing it. You know what I mean? That's what he was talking about, the free throw line. You know, all the little intricacies that we don't get privileged to, now we will. So, like, that's going to be real interesting to see that. You know what I mean? Now, you're going to see why Lance blew in LeBron James' ear and what he said when he blew it. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what Lance said. Like, I can't wait for these moments. You want to see what JR is thinking the last 3 minutes of the game.
So, my question to y'all now is what to expect from certain teams. What should we expect from certain teams? I'm going to start it off with Philly. Philly is playing Ben Simmons at the 4, which means they have a mixture of either Shake Milton, Josh Richardson, even Thibault. Matisse Thibault, who's coming on strong. He's probably not a playmaker, but
3-and-D guy.
Yeah, 3-and-D guy. You still have...
he's an energy guy.
You still have a playmaker at the 4, but do you think that this suits Philly better?
I think we talked about this earlier. Definitely suits Philly better. Definitely suits Philly better to put him at the 3. At the 4. I'm sorry.
Tobias was balling.
Yo,
in preseason.
I want to see what his 3 ball is going to be like because that's the main key. He said that he saw a sports therapist to break his mental psyche about shooting 3s. So if he can shoot that thing and he can shoot it consistently. Or the 30% clip. It don't even gotta be.
He just has to keep people honest.
Exactly. So, and then if that happens and they are honest, I think their offense opens up a lot. When you got JoJo playing in the post, that's where he eats at.
You know what I see that as? I see it as Brett Brown trying to save his job because he needs to try something. Because what they were doing was not going to get them into a deep playoff position and with possibly NBA Finals. So. I think Brett Brown was just like, listen, we got to try anything. Ben, I've been telling you to shoot all year. You ain't shot all year. Now I got to actually, we got this chance of a lifetime where, who knows, a key player on a rival team could go down for unforeseen reasons that we have before, right? So this is the chance where he's like, let's really try to do something. So if not, he's out of there. That's what I see it as. And will it work? I hope it does. I don't know though.
I think it will work. I think it has to work. Philly has to make that work. Because like you said, Brett Brown is on his last straw. They kind of lost Jimmy. I don't want to say for nothing, but they kind of lost Jimmy. Not for nothing, but Al Horford replacing Jimmy. I feel like they had a better team last year. And if you make this move last year, you put Jimmy at the 2, Tobias at the 3.
Agreed.
So, I just think that Philly has to make that move, and I think that they'll be a better team for it. To me, they just became the 3rd best team in the East. We're gonna continue. We just been joined by Christian Winfield. We just jumped on the call.
What's going on, Mr. Around the World?
Everywhere and back.
Listen, we gotta
home.
Know what I mean?
I mean, in your face from home.
What's going on, Christian?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all
Hey,
doing?
Good, man.
happy to be back.
Yeah, we got night vision goggles on right now.
So, another thing that I wanted to talk about, Christian, you can weigh in on this as well. Portland, you mentioned it earlier. Portland just came back and they're 10 times more healthy than they were when they left. So,
Portland is out here. I know everybody's talking about the Grizzlies, and granted, the Grizzlies are out here looking tough. But if you got a play-in tournament between the Grizzlies and the Trailblazers, and the Trailblazers at the health that they're at right now,
Mhm.
10 times out of 10.
I'm not gonna hold you, bro. 10 times out of 10.
Bro.
That's a
Guaranteed.
top to bottom starting 5. Not to mention that all these other guys, Simmons and all these other young guys have
Coming
gotten a
into their own.
ton of minutes.
They're coming into their
They
own.
got a ton of minutes. Now you're asking them to diminish and just be role players. You don't want them to do too much anymore.
Listen,
Dame doesn't have to score 50 points a game to win. Dame doesn't have to score 50 points a game to win anymore. So
I think that they're
10 out of
they're-
10.
their depth. Their
I'll
depth.
give Ja a game.
I'm not
giving
giving
one game.
I'm not
One
giving
game.
I'm
9
not
out
giving
of
Ja
10.
a game over Dame. Heck no, that's the
I'm giving-
matchup.
Back, does Portland catch? Does Portland catch the AFC?
And they had to be, so the thing is, they have to be within 4 games to create the play-in scenario.
scenario. Okay.
So if the play-in scenario were to go exactly today, if they would be,
it'd be one
they'd be-
play-in game or a 3
I'm not
play-in
exactly
series.
sure of how the play-in series is going, but I know that scenario is definitely evident right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a bunch of teams like that.
Let's move on to the races. Got a lot of races going on. The races have the MVP race, defensive of the
Well,
year,
they
coach of
wrapped
the year.
up.
They're kind of wrapped up because they're not including what's happening in this
Mhm.
bubble.
Right.
So, who's your MVP? Is it Christian? Who you got for MVP?
I got Giannis for MVP. You know, I love what LeBron was able to do out west. And part of it is LeBron fatigue. I think we've seen LeBron do superhuman things so often that it's refreshing to see somebody else
Let's
be a
do it.
superhero.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think Giannis has been that superhero for Milwaukee. But when you just look at what the Bucks have been able to do, best record in the NBA, far and out, even if they're not, you know what I'm saying, maybe you have other teams that you think would beat them in a 7-game series. MVP is a regular season award. I just think Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in this regular.
So with that being said, there's no Harden love here today.
Nah, I got Giannis in my MVP. Because only over LeBron because I feel like he's done more with less. LeBron has one of the greatest power forwards in the game to play the game right now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He has Dwight Howard, who's a Hall of Famer.
I was scratching my head.
Yeah.
So you're saying Giannis has done more with
Yeah, literally, Giannis has done more with less.
Mhm.
And he's like for me, and I know everybody says it's in the East, it's the West. It's not as competitive as the West. I think the East have shown like this is becoming. They're coming up and being almost as competitive as the West. They're not there yet. I think that they're top heavy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think that the West is deeper, but when you look at the top 5 teams from each conference, it's not overwhelmingly power ranking West over East, not at all.
Right. But as far as depth, though,
But for me, I think it's more so. I think people have just seen LeBron do so many things, and they have him fatigue in terms of voting from him year after year after year. He hasn't won one in a while. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's just a fresh face. And obviously, Giannis is just what he's been able to do in terms of building on top of last year and what he's doing this year, man. And you see him coming up and shooting 3.
that's what I was gonna say next. You took the words out of my mouth. I think that he expanded his game. That's what he got better from his MVP season.
Yeah. He
got better.
playing better. He's not falling off.
He didn't fall off. He got better, and
Yeah.
I think that goes to his leadership. And I really want to see what the Bucks do in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I really want to see how they're going to operate. I got them coming out the East. That is my prediction. And I know I'm jumping the gun, but I got the Bucks coming out the East.
I think it's like Budenholzer again. If you're coaching the best team in the NBA, you gotta get consideration. I know people.
And they lost talent too.
Who's the MVP? Can the same team have MVP and coach of the year? Absolutely. My vote was winning Mike Budenholzer, but there's a lot of different cases to be made, man. So many different cases. Who do you guys have?
I'm gonna have to go with Nick Nurse, man. I think the job he's done in Toronto with losing Kawhi for nothing at all and Danny Green, and literally they're second in their conference. I think they have a better record this year than what they had last year. But I really like what he does, his ability to change up his defensive schemes. You might see a boxing one night. Next night, he might even press you. I really appreciate the player development and schematic coaching ability of Nick Nurse.
John?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Budenholzer because I just believe when you lose pieces, it's hard, right? They lost Brogdon, bro, which is a major piece for them. And they didn't skip a beat. They didn't skip a beat at all. And then actually, to me, I feel like they're better this year than they were last year. You get Grant Hill, you know what I mean? I mean Grant Hill, George Hill. Sorry, you get George Hill, who's a good like a sliding piece. You know, it's like he was there last year. You know what I mean? Giannis is playing better. Lopez Splash Mountain and Trash Mountain. Sorry,
Splash Mountain, boy.
Splash and Trash Mountain. But I feel like I like their culture that they have. I think that they built that together. You know what I mean? Like the wrestling moves before the game, like how lax they are, as well as winning at the same time. And I just like how Budenholzer just turned that team around. You know, and I like Jason Kidd as a head coach. You can tell that they have an identity now, right? They have an identity. They know how they want to play basketball. They're still great defensively, but offensively they're just as good. And I think that the adjustments that he makes within the game and being able to switch lineups, things like that, and personnel, I think that says a lot about him. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm gonna throw two names out there that we haven't said so far. First, Rick Carlisle with Dallas, and I'm gonna take this based on the fact that his star is a 2-year player. He's only in the second year.
The star is a superstar.
The superstar is a 2-year player. He's only in his second year. He's already given him the reins. And then his number 2 guy is a guy coming fresh off of a 1.5-year injury.
Right.
Porzingis hasn't played, and most guys that have those type of injuries, they take a little while to get back. Lastly, why I think that he's a coach of the year. Last year, they were 33 and 49. They only won 9 games on the road last year. They've already won 21 games on the road this year. You talk about penciling in on something and narrowing something down and saying this is how we get better. Their home record is actually worse than their away record. They're 21 and 12 on the road, and that's huge for a team that's dealing with a new star. Because Porzingis didn't play it all last year, and a second-year star. And then when you look at the roster, it's not as beefed up as even Milwaukee's. You're looking at Kebler and Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Finney Smith.
And everyone would say Tim Hardaway Jr. is super overpaid. So, you know.
DeLon Wright.
I like what they work with. I like
Castaways.
And then I'm going to give you one other name. And I've been riding this team all year.
D'Antoni?
Even though. No, not D'Antoni. Even though my favorite player was traded from this team.
Yeah.
But OKC, man, I'm not a Billy Donovan fan. You guys know I do not like Billy Donovan. But damn if he ain't coach his butt off this year. For OKC to be 40 and 24 after losing everybody. Again, this is the franchise that's going to have the 30 for 30 written about them, about the dynasty that never was.
Yep.
And when you look at what he's done with essentially 3 point guards. Okay, Shai may not be a point guard, but I think Shai would play point guard on a lot of teams. Essentially with 3 point guards, aging Chris Paul, 2 of your star players, one of them coming off the bench, are the most clutch players in the NBA in the fourth quarter, and Dennis Schroeder and Chris Paul.
Statistically,
Steven Adams is his development this year, the way that they use him. The plays at the end of the game that he's called with Steven Adams throwing the ball all the way down the court to Dennis Schroeder with 1.1 left to send the game in overtime. He's coached. And I don't think Billy Donovan, and we're not going to talk about how this could be on Russell Westbrook or how hard he may be to coach, but I don't think Billy Donovan was that good of a coach. And for him to have this team at 40 and 24, I think that's extremely amazing.
You know what I think that all these coaches of the year candidates are testament to? Oh, man. One problem that NBA has had for a long time is parity. We've been seeing NBA dominated by the Warriors and dominated by LeBron for so long. And for there to be so many different teams that are thriving. One team we didn't mention is the Heat. Look at the Heat. The Heat are contenders out of nowhere. They went and got Jimmy Butler. I don't think anybody thought they'd be this good, right? So you got to throw Eric Spoelstra in the mix. The Jazz are in the mix. You haven't thrown Mike Malone in the mix and what he's been able to do with Denver. There's so many teams. Mind you, can anyone name the one undefeated head coach in the NBA right now?
Have you heard me?
Undefeated head coach.
No.
Jacques Vaughn. My son Jacques Vaughn is 2-0. We need to get him. There are only 7 black NBA head coaches full-time. Jacques Vaughn, if he gets the job, makes 8. I'm not saying that he should be the head coach, but I am saying we do need more black head coaches in the mix, and why not start one right here in Brooklyn? I don't know what made me go off on that tangent, but to the point of who was talking about the Raptors earlier, who said Nick Nurse? That was one name that kind of slipped my mind.
I don't think anybody had the Raptors being the 2 seed
Facts.
in the East this season.
Facts.
And for them to be in this position, for Pascal Siakam to be out there shooting step back threes, for Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry. Mind you, number one, Kyle Lowry came clutch for me last night on a game-winning 3 in 2K against this man Ty right here. Shout out to Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry had a fadeaway 3.
At the
Did
buzzer.
3 of them to bring him back into the game.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry is a bull.
To the left, shooting threes and making them into. You're not gonna talk about that.
There you go. It's all no self-doubt.
Mr. Bunny.
That's just a testament to the level of confidence that this man Nick Nurse instills in his players. Take any shot when you want to. So I think there's a number of Coach of the Year candidates. You could even throw Brad Stevens in there if you want for the Celtics doing what they're doing, even though you might not think they're doing what they should be doing. I don't know. My vote will go to either Nick Nurse or Mike Budenholzer. And now that I'm having a chance to reassess it, I might go Nick Nurse based on just how drastically better they are now than I thought they were at the beginning of the year. Because I thought they were going to be a 6 seed, and here they are number 2.
I didn't know if they were a playoff team, to be honest with you. With the Nets and the Magic were decent last year. Detroit did have 2 stars to start the season in Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. They made the playoffs last year, so even the Bulls looked decent to start the year. So I didn't really have high hopes for the Raptors. It damn sure wasn't the number 2 seed. So shout out to Nick Nurse and Rob. Want to shout you out too. You said Pascal Siakam would show the world what he was really about this year. Spicy P definitely stepped it up.
100%.
Last conversation piece, Christian. Finals prediction before we even get into you got the season starting, but when it's all said and done and the seeding is set up, who do we think is going to be in the finals at the end of the day?
For me, it's hard to bet against the finals that includes LeBron James, and it's hard for me to bet against Giannis Antetokounmpo now that Kawhi Leonard is out of the picture. I don't think there's another team that can get the Bucks out of here in a 7-game series. I think Giannis, like I was talking about how the Grizzlies, how they need to feel that loss to understand what it's like or what it takes to win in the playoffs. I think Giannis felt that last year when Kawhi and company got him out of there. And I think he understands for legacy purposes, and if he's really about the city of Milwaukee, and he really wants to build something there, he's got to win. And I think this is going to be the year. He might not win it all. If you're going Bucks, Lakers, I'm taking Lakers in 6 or 7.
You got Bucks, Lakers?
Yeah, I got Bucks, Lakers, and then Lakers, and I'll say Lakers in 6. I don't think it goes 7. But I do think that I think this is the year that Giannis really dominates the rest of the Eastern Conference and shows everybody, I'm that guy. I'm the one that I have to fear for the next 8 years. What you gonna do about it?
Before we move on to the next person, something that you said to me about Giannis if he didn't make the championship this year. What was that? You remember?
Oh yeah, wait. What did I say? I think I said if he doesn't make the finals this year, he won't. Oh, I said he wouldn't win another MVP in a Bucks jersey.
And you also said you don't think he'll be in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, if he doesn't make the finals this year, he has to make the finals at least one of the next 2 years, if not both of them. I think the Bucks need to become a legitimate dynasty for him to stay. Otherwise, like honestly, if you're telling me Giannis versus a healthy Kyrie and KD, and Giannis still has the same team he's got right now, and the Nets add a bunch of actual role players who can hit shots and defend both ways, I'm taking the Nets. And I might be me being hometown biased, but I'd take 2 superstars over 1, and Giannis' supporting cast is great. Don't get me wrong. He's got the coaching advantage for now, but star power wins, and I don't think Chris Middleton is all. I love Chris Middleton. I think he can play his role, but I don't think he's going to be that Robin that they need him to be. So I guess we'll see.
All right, man. Well, Christian, thank you for joining us. About to move on to the next topic. Appreciate having you on. Definitely going to have you on again.
Sure.
Oh, man. Sorry for the quarantine setup, but gotta be socially distant down here. Gotta be safe and sound, you feel me? Shout out to 3 the Hallway.
Of course. Christian Winfield, Daily News. Thank you for joining us.
Anytime.
As for me, though, my finals prediction. Y'all go first.
Since you already know who I got coming out the West, ain't no reason me explaining that. LeBron James.
Uh-huh.
And I got an upset, man. I don't believe in Giannis and them. I think that Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Miami
You got
Heat.
Miami coming out to the finals?
Miami going to the finals. I like them.
You willing to Terry Crews style? You willing to stand on that mountain?
That's my final prediction, bro. I ain't copy. I got the Heat. I got the Heat beating the Bucks in round 2 and then taking that all the way to the finals.
Wow.
That's what I got.
So Heat,
Lakers.
I got Clippers, Bucks.
I knew you had the Clippers.
I'm sticking with my guns. I said in the beginning of the season, I believe in Kawhi, the LeBron stopper.
Even when Lou Will go into Magic City.
I believe that robot know how to turn that button on,
shooting
flip that switch, and go into kill mode. I don't care about none of that. And I also believe, like I said, coaching plays a big factor. I don't believe in Frank Vogel's coaching skills. I do believe that LeBron James has a lot of say in how he coaches. And I think that when Doc Rivers sees that, he's going to game plan for it. On top of that, did you know that the Los Angeles Clippers hired Tyronn Lue
as assistant coach?
As an assistant
They have
coach.
somebody else on that bench who's an assistant coach too.
They do.
Big name. I forget who it is right now.
I stole this take. I stole this take from Jalen Rose this morning. He was talking about this on First Take. Just coach him to the championship. Mm-hmm. You know how he plays. You know his tendencies. You know how he reads the floor. You have an inside man. Mm-hmm. Knowing that, and Doc Rivers as a defensive mastermind, offensive mastermind, and top of that, you have two of the greatest defenders in the game right now, Pat Bev and Kawhi Leonard.
You could even say 3 because Paul George was like a top 3.
Yep,
was a top 3.
And Paul George, and you know I gotta throw my man in there, joking.
Oh Lord! All right, so you got the Clippers. You got the Clippers. And
I got Clippers in the Bucks.
Bucks.
I got Clippers in the Bucks.
All right, I'm gonna just go off the rails. No one's gonna like what I'm about to say. Out the East, I definitely have Boston. I still have Boston. In a tight game, in the last 4 minutes of the game, I don't like the half-court offense from Milwaukee as much as the half-court options from Milwaukee as much as I do the ton of options that Boston has. There's at least 5 options that you can go to down the stretch to end the game for you.
Mm-hmm. 5 options?
I'll say 4.
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Gordon Hayward, and I lied to you not. I believe that Marcus Smart can hit some big shots in the fourth quarter. I believe that Marcus Smart can hit some big shots, and not only that, he can draw a charging foul from Giannis. He can draw a charging foul from Kyle Lowry, who also is getting charging fouls. But anyway, I got Boston coming out the East. In the West, my heart wants to say Houston, but I don't think that Houston can beat both LA teams. If they can I think they can get one of them. Either one of them. But if they have to beat the Clippers and then go against the Lakers, it's not going to happen. They got to beat the Lakers and then go against the Clippers, it's not going to happen. So, my heart says Houston. My sports
analysis
says LeBron will be back. LeBron has to go to the finals, or he has to win the finals, or he has to not make it to the finals. He cannot take another stain on that finals record. So if he goes, he has to win it. And Jason Tatum, them boys, they'll have another chance to get back there. LeBron, his chances are running now. He can't. Even AD being so much older, he needs it now too. Because if you listen to the way you talked about him on the top, when it came to the top, top 50,
give me more ammunition to clip.
Exactly. You feel like AD needs to win now.
I feel like if the Lakers win, it'll be because of Kobe's spirit, and that would be a great way to end 2020.
It's crazy season.
This crazy season in memory of Kobe and honor it. That would be awesome. It'll be a nice match. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I think that the robot is going to be the Terminator and shut it down.
Fair. All right. We're going to bring in one of our favorite segments that we used last year. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's back. Love it, hate it. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about, so we're going to bring up a whole bunch of topics, and we're going to see if we love them or hate them. So starting with Serena Williams. Serena Williams' daughter is actually the owner.
Alexis Olympia, I don't know what her last name is, Jr. Mm-hmm. Part owner of the O'Hanahan of a national women's soccer team, expansion team dubbed Angel City. This team has a lot of support. Got 12 different former women's national team players that are now owners of the team. Have a few actresses.
So they'll be able to pull some legit talented players.
Yeah.
I love it. She's only 2 years old. She's walking into a potentially $1 billion business that she can literally walk into. Like, she doesn't have to do much. I think that this National Women's Soccer League is going to be awesome, especially because the U.S. Women's National Team is the most dominant sports team in America right now. And you know what I mean? Like, they just been on a tangent. They're great, and I don't think that they get enough love. I think that there's definitely a market for it, and she's walking right into that market at 2. So I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Anytime you're able to create generational wealth, especially in the African American community, I'm all for it. I'm really optimistic that this expansion league or the Women's National Soccer League will actually be a success, especially when you have the marketable people behind you like Serena Williams, like former members of the national team. So I love it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I love it too. It kind of reminds me of Nas when he made Illmatic. Our stat checkers will have to check me on that. I'm not sure if it was Illmatic or Stillmatic. I think it was Illmatic, but he made his daughter executive producer on the album, so she receives the royalties. So she receives royalties from it. So even if Serena's daughter can care less about sports, she has something in the bank to go to for whatever she does care about. And mom don't gotta foot it out her pocket immediately like, here, go. You already got that. When you turn 18 or whatever the case may be, when you get in tune with what you're doing, here's this. You're part owner. You can pull out if you wanted to.
Yep, you can sell your stake in the team.
Sell your stake in the team, and so just like you said, generational wealth, giving a black baby that type of opportunity at such an early age is just, it's just another reason I love Serena Williams. If you didn't have enough already. Moving on, Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes, where he at?
It's a bad man.
Where he at?
Rich man.
Bad man. Bad
rich man.
As soon as he get a bag, get another bag.
$500 plus million deal, 10 plus years, 10 years on the deal. Like, love it or hate the deal.
The deal, I love it.
From whose perspective?
Both. I love it from Patrick Mahomes, becoming the richest quarterback in NFL history, and with the injury insurances, he's still at least going to get $100 plus million if he gets hurt. He has early opt-out clauses. I love it for the team because, yes, it is the biggest contract right now, but we all know these things go up. It's just his turn to be it. And if he doesn't opt off, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he were to play out the 10 years exactly how it is without opting out, come around year 7, 8, he's going to be back in top 7, 8, 9 paid quarterback. So
and looking to be number one again.
But that gives them flexibility to bring in a Chris Jones, to pay Tyreek Hill, to whatever. Like, this is his Bradying it, taking a reduced deal, but it's not right now.
Yeah. I love it. One, because they paid a man what he's owed. You definitely earned
all he did was come in and win MVP one year and win the Super Bowl next year.
50 touchdowns, 500 yards, 5,000 yards, and win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Greatest.
And to Rob's point, and Rob was the first one to say on the show, is that he potentially can be the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. So if you have the greatest quarterbacks ever played the game, you gotta lock him in. Lock him in early. You know what I mean? You make sure that he gets the best deal as he has right now. As Rob says, the market always resets itself, so it might not be that big of a deal in the long run. And on top of that, it allows you to be flexible in your spending. Right, because you don't gotta worry about his contract is coming up. We know what he said.
We know who we got. No, if anything, we got a quarterback.
We got a quarterback. We ain't gotta worry about him for the next something years, bro. Now we just need to make sure that we can work around that. You know, and I don't think that is a bad move because he's shown what he can do in year 3. It would be a bad deal. God forbid he gets hurt. If he gets hurt,
and that's why I like it and I love it. That's why I like it and I love it. Only thinking, one. Potentially, he can be the greatest quarterback of all time. Potentially, anybody could fall off the top of the mountain at any time. He could get hurt and they may not be able to ever throw the same again. What if he tears his... And I don't want to... And I want this to be very clear. I'm not wishing this on him at all. He is amazing to watch as a Ravens fan. I love watching Patrick Mahomes. But... the backside of it's only a small thing because everybody and the quarterback is the most protected position, so he shouldn't deal with one of those. But looking at the quarterback that was there before him and Alex Smith and what happened to him in Washington, God bless him. He's been cleared for full contact. By the way, I just think that it's a fragile position to put yourself in, but at the same time, while I like it, if I got a franchise guy
Literally,
at
definition
the
of.
quarterback position
At this young?
Yeah.
at this young,
Lock him in.
I think of Aaron Rodgers. I think of Ben Roethlisberger. I think of Tom Brady before he was 40-something years old and they finally let him go. But there was plenty of quarterbacks that either management or coaching wanted to take over Tom Brady, and they was just like, nah, we got one of the best guys. Why would we ever do this?
Got the guy.
Not only are they're not letting that narrative even blossom. We're keeping him. 10 years in, we're keeping him.
And so, just to double down, a man then goes and buys part of the Kansas City Royals.
Add the bag. Investing his money.
Investing his money early.
I'm invest back in my community where I'm at. You know, it's just it's a beautiful.
So he's
thing,
letting
man.
it know, and that's such a beautiful thing for him to do. Because you can put money into any franchise. Put money into that franchise.
Player.
Right.
Put money into that franchise, the Kansas City Royals. Right there in Kansas City, where you just inked in to be for the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
What better way to go about it? This is black excellence.
Yeah.
I didn't know. This is black excellence.
Shout out to my homie.
Shout
man.
out to Mahomes. Speaking of black excellence, Mike Tyson is back, baby. We talked about this, and you didn't like Mike Tyson coming back.
I didn't like it.
You did not like Mike Tyson coming back. So how you feel about Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones now? Two legends. Two legends.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I actually do like it. I think that is going to be entertaining.
You ain't want to see Holyfield.
Yeah, I ain't want to see them fighting, man. I think Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones is definitely gonna be entertaining. And I think what makes this situation like it for me is because of the undercards. Like,
The Nate
did
Rob.
you, Max, Nate Robinson is fighting a YouTuber, Jake Paul. Like, that's interesting to me. So I want to watch it. I'm interested to see that. I like it. That's all I can say about that.
John?
I like it. I don't love it only because there won't be a referee in the ring. I'm not sure if it's a referee, but they won't be wearing headgear. And they can't get cut. If you get cut, then the fight is automatically over. And there's something that they said that you can't intentionally try to knock somebody else out. So because they're not wearing headgear. So like that kind of put a damper. Yeah, because I'm trying to watch Tyson knock somebody. Boy, that's what we all came to see.
We come to see Mike Tyson knock somebody. That's what I'm saying. My head's changed at these rules.
That's it. I'm here to see Mike. And then I was looking, and I'm gonna say I like it as well, only because I'm looking at all this training that Mike Tyson is doing, and he looks so young. And he's from here. He's from Brooklyn. He's from Brownsville. So to see someone in the position that he was in coming up, and everybody taking advantage of him, he just being this hood ass kid, and then building his career just for it to fall out the sky, and drugs this and problems there with the law. Just to see Mike Tyson over the last 5-7 years, from acting to roast to this now, and the appearances that he's made, I'm just loving Mike Tyson's
this version of Mike Tyson.
But I'm not gonna say I love it because, like John just said, first reason why I don't love it is because it's Roy Jones, and Roy Jones is old as well. He's not as old as Mike, but Roy Jones is not in that weight class
at all.
So Roy Jones fighting outside of the weight class. Yeah, I don't like that from Roy Jones. But then I hear that can't nobody get knocked out.
What is this, a scrimmage fight?
Celebrity deathmatch?
Right.
What are you watching? Scrimmage. What are you watching? So I'm not a fan of the hit news that I just heard. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I'm not a fan of no one being able to get knocked out or cut. And I'm not a fan of it being Roy Jones only because of the weight class disparity of Roy Jones. I'm thinking Roy Jones then got out of shape and now he's a big dude and he has to get into shape as a big dude.
Yo, I watched.
They both have knockout power. I haven't seen Mike get knocked out too many times. I think I seen him get knocked out one time, Buster Douglas, and I seen him spit his mouthpiece out against Kevin McBride, his last fight, I believe that was. But Roy Jones knock a dude out too.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely gonna be entertaining though.
It should be.
You got two entertaining fighters.
I watched Tyson's workouts and then I watched Roy Jones, and it's two different workouts. But Tyson looks a lot sharper, a lot crisper, and Roy Jones looks like he's just trying to 1-2 you. And it's slow, it's not fluid. So
I want to see Mike do to a body what he does to them body bags. To the bags.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
That's what I want to see.
It's about to get crazy.
That's what I
because it's an exhibition fight. It's going to be September 12th. It's going to be dubbed the Frontline Battle. It's going to be on pay-per-view as well.
Of course.
So, which is going to be, anytime Mike Tyson on pay-per-view, it's must-see TV. Anytime. It don't matter if he's 50 or not, bro. It's going to be...
Mike Tyson is a polarizing character.
So, yeah, man. Tyson had fights in 2005, but Roy Jones fought in 2018. 18, bro. He fought 2018.
In what weight class?
He had to be a heavyweight now because he's heavier. He has to be heavier. So I just want to see what it's gonna look like, bro. I want to see like what the entrance music is gonna be like. I want to see if it's like what it's gonna be like. But I feel like it's great for sports. It's a great day for Mike Tyson to come back and do his thing. And I can't wait to see who else he fights. Who else is going? I think it's a retires legends only league. I think
it's like legends only.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to baseball, MLB. So earlier this week, Miami Marlins, traveled up to Philly, and upon departure, they found out that about 11 of their players, or 12 of their players, and 2 coaches contracted coronavirus, which now has their game suspended throughout the rest of the week. And it just leaves a lot of question marks in baseball. So how do you guys feel about the baseball season playing right now? Like, love it or hate it. And not necessarily playing, but the way they're going about playing. Everybody's still doing their own thing. Toronto has pulled out. Not Toronto.
The Blue Jays.
Canada.
Canada
says, y'all not coming up here with that. Y'all not traveling up here with that. So now we got a new Blue Jays team playing out of Buffalo, I believe, right?
They were supposed to play in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh dubbed it. So I don't know where the Blue Jays are playing right now. I think
they're playing out of Buffalo. But we'll stat check that as well. But how do you guys feel about it? Me personally, I hate the way the MLB went about it. I don't think that we are in a position in the world right now, not even America, in the world, to say, go ahead, 29, not 30, but 29 teams, go ahead and travel all across this country for 3 days and then go to the next place and then go to the next place and then go. That just doesn't make sense to me. And baseball, I believe, has the second most players behind football when it comes to rosters and coaching staffs and the people that have to travel. So I think baseball did not do a good job of setting this up. And like we talked about before, they're money hungry. They're on the bottom end of the totem pole when it comes to entertainment value. And they just wanted to get out there. And now it's looking really bad.
I think the way they rolled it out was rushed because of pressure. I don't think that it was well thought out. And I also think that there was dissension between the players and the owners. And they never came to a clear consensus. And like what I liked about the NBA is that they took their time. They took their time and they carefully thought things out. They had multiple options. I don't think the NBA looked at all of their options.
Yeah, MLB.
I mean, MLB, sorry. I don't think the MLB looked at all of their options.
Yeah, because you were talking to me about an option that sounded way better about, like, maybe just keeping the divisions in a specific region.
Yeah.
And having them just play in that region. And you just play your division.
Yep.
So what?
Play your division.
Play your division. Best team out of the division makes it to the playoffs and play from there.
Or you can even, like, if you wanted to go out of division, switch divisions, like, you know what I mean? Like, not switch divisions, like, like,
after they've all tested negative, these 2 teams can come here, and these 2 teams can go here for 2 weeks.
Right. I think baseball tried to operate as usual. This is not a as usual time. You know what I mean? Like, even the NBA was like, okay, this is not going to work. We're going to have to do a bubble. Let's make it happen. The thing about baseball that's challenging is that their rosters are crazy. Like, the sheer number of players on each roster is ridiculous, right? So you have, your pitcher, your 12, right? I think it's 12 players on the field, besides the pitcher and the catcher. And on top of that, you got your relief pitchers. Then you got your backup players. So to house that, facilitate that, is going to be difficult and challenging. Do I think that it could be possible? Definitely, bro. You got states that have 4 colleges in one city. You know what I mean? Like Cincinnati has 2 colleges in one town. So that means that you have 2 ballparks that you can play in and use their accessibility. I don't think that it was smart that they or for that matter, if it's going to be like the Northeast Division, where it was just New York, New Jersey, like the Phillies, the Mets, the Yankees, like you might have to even restructure that, like not be an AL and NL, just be East. Like we're just the East, and we're all playing against that. Like I feel like they could have came up with different ways where you can contain it, and then at a later date when the playoffs comes, then you can start separating it and like having, you know what I mean, you play in certain cities in a destination. I just feel like the rollout wasn't as thought out as it should be.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with hate it. They definitely should have taken their time and made a more well thought out plan on as far as traveling and where a team should be going. I guess the pushback that they had was
season starts in April.
Season starts in April. Not only that, but if you're not playing in an MLB ballpark, then you're playing in stuff that's like minor leagues, and who knows what the numbers would look like there. So,
okay, fair.
But I don't like it. I think they should have did a better job, and it doesn't seem as
when
if
you say numbers, what do you mean?
So a minor league,
the ballparks are smaller.
Facts, smaller, bro. You got 400 Bush Fields, Bush Stadium, 425 to center field.
True.
Go to
minor league to be
community park, 350 feet to center field. Like that's so. That would be the only pushback. But I hate it.
Let's move on. Mikey Williams, high school sensation. School choices. He said on Twitter, Instagram, around the time of, not around the time, it's still going on if we didn't know, the killers for Breonna Taylor, the cops, killers, whatever you want to call them, for that murdered Breonna Taylor are still free, still living their lives, and George Floyd, this is around the George Floyd time, and Mikey said that we should start, applying to HBCUs, and a lot of us have felt that way, even though some of us did not go to HBCUs. But it would be dope to see some of our best athletes. They usually look like us, going to schools that were built for us, And Mikey has taken the first steps. I believe 5 of his 10 top choices are HBCUs. You want to talk about his choices really quickly?
I'm just going to run them down. We got 5 HBCUs: North Carolina Central, Alabama State, Texas Southern, Hampton, and Tennessee State. In addition to those, he has your traditional NCAA schools. Well, not traditional NCAA schools.
He has one top powerhouse schools.
Yeah, you got USC, Memphis, Arizona State. And last but not least, the Kansas Jayhawks. So I love this list. I really do. I appreciate the diversity of him wanting to spearhead, and I would not be mad if he went to any one of those HBCUs, but it really makes me feel good in the heart of hearts that he has Kansas on his list. So I love it.
I love it because HBCUs prior to, I think, the 80s and 70s were the main colleges African Americans would go to. So in football, like Jerry Rice came from HBCU. I mean, Scottie Pippen came from HBCU. So like those were the colleges that a lot of our Shannon Sharp, a lot of our products came from. And they lost a lot of revenue due to, the blue chip era, where the recruitment is high and they can offer you more. You get more attention, more recognition. The way technology works now is that you don't need that anymore. If you're good on TV, you're going to be played on TV. People will come to you, or they will Zoom you. Like, we don't need to directly come to see you. So if this is a new wave, I think that it bodes well for HBCUs. It bodes well for higher education for people of color. That will promote more jobs. It will bring more money inside of the school, which also create more opportunities in the job sector for people of color. So if he can do that, and there's going to be trending for that, I think that is ultimately the best thing to do. It's the best decision, I think.
Copy. Get my last piece on this. I am also in love with this decision by Mikey. Even if he doesn't go to one of those HBCUs, I love the fact that the top prospect has put that on his map, and hopefully other prospects will follow. Maybe not the top prospects. Maybe they can grab, someone in that 20 to 30 range of top high school players. I just feel like hopefully HBCUs can not only grab a player or two here and there, but also be competitive. Because these are D1 schools too. These aren't D2 schools. These are D1 schools that are at the bottom of the rankings every year, and grab 6 wins and 3 in conference. But hey, if Howard can win some games because he's there, if Hampton can win some games, one thing that I did notice is that this boy is trying to be in some good weather.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere he picked was, I think the furthest north was Hampton, which is in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not playing about how he's trying to be hot. So I agree that I like the fact that he picked schools that you can see is definitely a theme there. But he kept his options open. And I think that's all we really ask from players, because they got to consider it. Because you got
sophomore.
I'm a sophomore, so great. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll see some juniors next year and some seniors again next year making commitments to some HBCUs. So shout out to Mikey. We're gonna move on from this segment. Last segment. If you followed us last year, you kind of know where we're going with this. But not last year, last season.
Last season.
It was only a month ago. So if you followed us last season, you know we're going with this. Our top 50. We had a blast making our top 50. We fought, we argued, we screamed, we disagreed. We didn't talk to each other at some point.
Yeah.
But we do have a list. We're going to, before we even get into our top 10, you have top 10 in front of you right now?
Mm-hmm.
Before we even get into our top 10, we're going to read them backwards 10 to 1. But we're just going to discuss some of the process right quick of what we went through to decipher this list. And we talked about it before we did the list, but I think when we got into the list, certain things became more prevalent than others. And I just thought it would be cool to give our listeners a chance to see why, before they chew us out for the next 2 to 3 weeks talking about this list, just to see why we went where we went with it.
Right. So for me, when I looked at our top 50 list, and it was definitely a challenge, just ranking people who's better than this one, or what do we qualify and what are we looking at. But for me, the biggest factors was what was your peak as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's winning a championship, whether that's you just having a stretch where you were just the best in the world, or whatever the case may be, and then how long was that peak. And then for me, another determining factor was what was your impact on a championship team, or like what was your role on that team. So like, for example, if you were a 1A guy, or were you just a defensive stopper? Were you the number one scorer, or did you come off the bench, but you really were the closer and you just was the role to come off the bench? And then lastly, it was just like the accolades, you know, the points, the assists, the rebounds, the first all NBAs, defensive, all that good stuff. But I think the biggest things for me was definitely like your peak, how long was it, and what was your role on your team when they were most successful.
Copy.
Yeah.
For me, it was one thing that you didn't say that played a big part for me was because we're doing top 50, 1990 to present, the last 30 years. I'm 29 years old. I can vividly remember basketball from like 1999 on up, and I've seen enough highlights of certain things for those guys that was playing before then. It was the eye test.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think I got into it with you guys with certain things, because certain people didn't have the accolades. Not necessarily accolades. They didn't have the championships. They had the accolades. They didn't have the championships. And we put other players higher than them that did have the championships and also the accolades. But the eye test of, all right, when I got this guy versus this guy, and they both play the same position, who would bust whose ass? That's what I would think about a lot. Who can do more? All right, this guy is a big shot hitter, but does he control the game the way that someone else does that may not be as big of a shot hitter?
Mm-hmm.
You know? I think that played a role in it. But also, championships, longevity was important to me. I mean, if you go in 10, 12 years of scoring 22, 23 points a game, 8 to 12 rebounds, it's just like, come on, man. Like that makes
That's
you
tough.
great, bro.
It's tough, yeah.
That makes you great. But at the end of the day, which made this so fun for us, is that everybody we talking about is great. Everybody that we talking about is great.
Right.
People like Brandon Roy didn't make the list, you know?
Right.
People like Jamal Mashburn didn't make the list. People like Michael Finley didn't make the list. So everybody's great.
Mm-hmm.
And those are legendary to some. Legendary scorers, you know?
Right,
legendary ballers. Damn, scoring legendary ballers. So
yeah, for me, it was definitely a combination of what Rob talked about, as far as like the accolades, championships, your role, how successful you were in your role, the impact that you made in that role and towards your team, and a lot of it for me was the memory. A lot of it for me was I remember.
Yeah. The storyline.
I remember
facts.
when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember what that
I was
happened.
sitting on my couch and going crazy when Kobe hit that shot. You know.
I remember when T-Mac had 13 points in 51 seconds.
In 33 seconds.
33 seconds. You know what I mean? I remember when Reggie Miller pushed off Mike and shot the 3 to tie the game. I mean, to end the game. You know what I'm saying? I remember when y'all crossed over Lou Will and stepped over him. You know what I'm saying? Like
I remember when D-Wade and LeBron was coughing in the finals.
Don't say D-Wade and LeBron. D-Wade was not choking in that final.
No, they were coughing in the finals, trying to mimic Dirk and end up losing that finals.
You got it.
Right.
I remember that.
It was up 2-0 when they did that too. You got it.
So, like, I think that was most of it for me. Yeah, bro, and also a lot of it was matchups too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just who's better than who, but more importantly for me was how dominant were they in their time, and also how effective they were when they rolled. There's some guys who were good, but not the best in that role that they were. Like we talked about Dennis Rodman and LaMarcus Aldridge. I tell you, like
that was a fun argument.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman was arguably the best player in his role. LaMarcus Aldridge,
was great.
He was great at multiple things in his role, but he wasn't the best. I can't say that he is the best scorer. He's not the best rebounder. He's not the guy to close the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Dennis Rodman was the best.
Grab 18 boards. Damn if he don't score.
I know he's gonna lock you up. You know what I mean? I know he's gonna try to get in your head. So, like, those were fun to argue with, and I think that we learned a lot, and you know what it takes to make a list. And why some of these lists that we look at, we be like, what the heck? Who was it? Because
we see why.
Exactly, we saw why.
One last thing that I know that we definitely included when we were going through our list was, what did you leave behind? You know, Allen Iverson,
legacy,
the legacy part of it. There was a bunch of Allen Iversons to come into the game. You look at Steph Curry right now, and you look at Trae Young. It's like, this is the legacy. You look at Kobe Bryant, and you look at Kawhi Leonard and Jason Tatum. This is the legacy that they leave behind. Michael Jordan being Kobe. This is the legacy that he left behind, and that also
dunking on everybody
is part of what makes you great. You know.
Yeah.
So without further ado, thank you, John. Without further ado, Rob, you want to read off our 10 through 1 really quickly?
Yeah, man, this is really hard. And I'm just gonna do my best of reading them off.
Just saying names.
Yeah. So at number 10, we have David Robertson, the Admiral. One of the greatest Spurs of all time. Another Spur at number 9, Kawhi the Claw Leonard. At number 8, we got Mr. Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant, shooting trades from the suburbs. At number 7, we got your boy Stephen Curry, Mr. I'm gonna change the game around and literally
we play the game. We play the Steph Curry game now. That's what the NBA is right now. Even that JJ Barea shot that I was talking about last night when it was time to go into overtime, he shot it on Kyle O'Quinn. He was seeking out Kyle O'Quinn all night, but he shot it on Kyle. But he was at the logo. He didn't make it.
And we can attribute all of that impact to definitely Stephen Curry and his sniper mentality.
No such thing as.
He literally has in the gym range.
Like.
At number 6, we have probably one of the best complete centers at Hakeem Olajuwon. I think he's top 10 in steals and blocks, so that was definitely something. He actually got those 2 championships when Michael Jordan retired, so that's definitely a nice little. I was next in the league. At number 5, we got the big fundamental, just consistent excellence. Tim Duncan, just whatever you want, 20 and 10.
Doing this list, bro, I grew such an appreciation for Tim Duncan. I remember when he was in his prime and he was winning that MVP, and they were like, yo, Tim Duncan is the best power forward we ever seen in basketball. And then, you know, the guy gets older and he's not 22 and 14 anymore, 22 and 12 every night. And it's just like, oh, maybe, you know, or maybe he's not. But Timmy, they ran the league he never missed a playoff. They ran the league when he was in the league. Whether he won every year or not doesn't matter, because within those 20 years he has 5 of them. So he stayed around. regardless to what y'all were doing, switching your teams up, LeBron goes here, LeBron goes there, Kobe talk, Shaq leaves, all of that. KG goes. I'm winning championships still. Big on Tim Duncan.
Yeah, shout out to Timmy, man. At number 4, we have the most dominant player we've ever seen. I think we can all say that.
The Diesel.
Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Shaq Gnosis. Big Shaq this. And go look on YouTube and just watch him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the list gets tricky. This is where it gets tricky.
We got at 3.
At number 3, we got LeBron.
Okay.
You know, this might be a controversial part for some people, but when it comes to Through the Hard Way, we just felt that he needs to show us a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's Ty.
I'm pretty sure there was a point where LeBron was number 2, where we looked at LeBron as number 2. But I think he lost the last 2 championships he was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts.
He needs to charge a little more. Give us a championship. You know what I mean?
Last 3 years is 2 misses, two finals losses, only 1 win. They lost 4-1 and they got swept, and then he didn't make the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. So kind of slides you down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And number 2 on our list, but number 1 in my heart, is Kobe. Rest in peace to the Bean Bryant.
Listen, Rob, I love Rob. He had the audacity in his list to vote Kobe as number 1, and some people will feel that way. You know what I mean? And Rob is a true Kobe diehard fan. I respect him for it. So
yeah, man. But when it comes to Through the Hard Way, we're gonna have to give our hats off to the true greatest player.
The unanimous, no matter what list it's on.
Yeah, Mr. Jeffrey Jordan,
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the GOAT.
If you need some ammo as to why, just go look on Netflix or ESPN and watch The Last Dance.
Mm-hmm. 6-0 in the finals.
You'll see more than enough.
Mm-hmm. But they said that Kobe's coming out with documentaries.
I'll be interested to see it. But yeah, that list was definitely something that was definitely fun. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed doing it. It was also really hard.
Every week I was calling you like, yo, this is the hardest list.
Facts.
That was 21 through 30. Damn. This 11 through 20 is hard.
Yeah.
Yo, agreed, bro.
Man. Yeah, it was definitely tough doing the ranking. But it was definitely fun, man.
Absolutely.
I think we did a pretty good job there, fellas.
I agree. Good job. Well, that's our show for today, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you guys enjoyed our season opener. We are back in full effect. You'll be seeing us weekly. We are pre-recording now, so there'll be so much more show. John, let them know where to find us at.
You can find us on YouTube at 3, the letter 3, the number 3, The Hard Way, 3Ys podcast. Instagram at 3THW_, Facebook 3 The Hard Way, and iTunes officially. Thanks, Rob. 3, the number 3, The Hard Way with 3Y.
Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, just look at the screen, you'll see all the good stuff. Absolutely. And just for all the fans and our followers out there who have been with us since day 1, I want to say thank you. For our new fans, please join in. We're going to have a lot more opportunity for you to interact. Like Todd said, we are going to be doing a pre-recorded show, so if you want to chime in and want to comment on Instagram or Facebook, please feel free to do that, and we'll do our best to get you on the show.
Yeah, thank you, guys. We got a team now, y'all. It's not just us 3 anymore. We have expanded. We got a team. We actually have somebody in here trying to keep us true to the time. Shout out to Mary White, our boy and Mary fan. Trying to keep us to our time. We'll work on it. But yeah, man, we got people that you've seen earlier. We had Christian call in. We'll be using Zoom and other platforms to get people calling in. We'll be doing skits. We're gonna have a blast, y'all. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us before. If you were with us before, if you're new, you're gonna enjoy yourself through the hallway. If you want to call in, fans, anybody, you got our numbers. You know how to reach out to us. You got our information. John just shared it. Definitely reach out. We'll get you on the show. So thanks for having us. Through the hallway, y'all. Yeah. Roll credits, Rob. We got roll credits.
Oh man, hold on. What my roll credits at? Speaking of Miami Heat gonna go to the finals.
You out your mind,
Rob. What? Who beat them? What you mean? Who beat Miami?
I got Boston. I got Philly. I got Milwaukee.
Man, we
Miami, but
Miami match up with all of them. The only person I'm really like, I don't know, is Giannis. That's tough.
You know what I was saying to Christian at the
tough, but they got Bam, bro. Like,
here's the problem with Miami. The 2 best shooters you can't have on the court at the same time. The 2 best role players that you would want to have on the court can't shoot the way they can, and Jay Crowder and Andre Iguodala. Gordon Dragic, one of my favorite players coming up when he first moved to Phoenix. He's inconsistent. And Bam can't create his own shot. Bam is great, but he can't create his own shot. He's a glorified Montreal Harrell.
All right, so here's my response to that. Number one,
Bam,
you play offense, defense, Ty. The Bucks don't got all these weapons in the world where you
They
need.
got weapons.
You don't need lockdown defenders on all them. Number two, you don't need Bam to create his own shot when you got Jimmy Butler, Kendrick Nunn, and Duncan Robinson. Don't let one of them get hot. Playoffs, this
Jimmy Butler will score 22 points in one game and 8 in the next.
And the game that they scored 8, they winning by 20. Because everybody else, Dragic done went off, Kendrick Nunn done went off, Duncan Robinson done went off, Tyler Hero gets you cuts through. I like Miami. I like their experience. I like their depth. I like their coaching. I love their coaching.